Hey everyone, JagTagger93 here with an interesting Doom mod to review today. It's Carlos Lastra's Toxic Computing. This appeared to be a map after my very own heart, as Carlos states in his readme file that the intention was to deliver a map with an old school level of detailing and structure. And I absolutely love old school WADs that do this, WADs that make the most out of native resources from the original game to produce a product that's retro in quality, but also functional too, and stands up to modern standards. So, does Toxic Computing succeed? Does it manage to be both old school in its presentation, but also have the polish and care expected of contemporary Doom WADs? Well, it's definitely nostalgic in style, but it could have used a little more polish and attention here and there. That said, overall it's a very capably done map, and it's really worth the download and a playthrough. The enemy and item placement is what makes or breaks old school WADs, and both of them are done really well here. This is especially true of the enemy placement. The author has smartly placed zombie marines through windows and on ledges to snipe at unalert players. Also, lost souls and pinkies ambush traps throughout this map, such as a slime bridge, which is a really nice thing to behold. Items are also smartly placed to entice player exploration, as there are instances where the player will be teased with a valuable pickup through some obstruction and have to figure out how to get at it. And that's just classic map making psychology, and it's been a staple of decent Doom mods since the beginning. And I'm really happy to see that kind of player psychology, map psychology here with the use of item placement. There's also an appropriate level of deviation of aesthetics in this WAD, just enough to give different areas their own unique identity without completely throwing immersion out the window. The name of the WAD is Toxic Computing, and appropriately enough, panels and circuits line the walls of a WAD that's consistently presented as a UAC research type facility. The author used lighting to competent effect in this WAD, and the most well-lit areas either having obvious light sources within them or being an outdoor area. This WAD does just enough to be great, but not quite enough to be excellent or outstanding. It's very easy to complete, and while you are teased with powerful items in this map, it's unlikely that experienced players will ever feel compelled to go wall knocking for these precious items, as there is very simple progression to this one. In my playthrough, I did not find a single bit of green or blue armor, but I really didn't need it, nor feel the need to go looking for it. I think I would like to play through a version of this WAD that had less ammunition and a chainsaw in place of the chain gun, as I think that would make for a more challenging experience, especially with those pinkies and lost souls ambush areas, especially with the cacodemons too later in the map. Also, for a map that's called Toxic Computing, one might expect a section where you have to traverse through some toxic waste in an environmental suit, but that doesn't really happen here. Lastly, while there's just enough here to deliver on the theme of a research facility, it lacks the details that are really necessary to make the environment really stand out and appear lived in. Yeah, there's a ton of zombie marines in this map, but there's not a single corpse in sight. Throwing in some bodies here and there would have had a little bit of seasoning to the blander areas. I was also disappointed by the lack of exploding waste barrels too, as they'd be in keeping with the theme and go along great with the zombie heavy gameplay of this WAD. So to wrap up, Toxic Computing is a capably done map. I recommend it for those seeking a more nostalgic, light on frills experience. I give it a 7 out of 10 and I'll throw in 3 barrels that I wish were in this WAD for a total score of about 76% by my math. So it's a fairly good WAD, and it does deserve some attention. And that's all I really have to say about it. As always, please like or comment, as I always love any and all feedback and communicating with other players. Subscribing is also appreciated too, but not necessary. But most of all, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. This is JagTagger93 signing out. Y'all have a good one.